Ron Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion, delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit in current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. But before we get into our intriguing content today, please join me in welcoming our featured guest and repeat offender. Lucas Smith is in the house. Welcome, Lucas.
Thank you.
Glad to have you with us. Let me remind you, if you ever have any more finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you, and you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
While I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money, I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We celebrate every day on Ron Siegel Radio. They tell me it's National Artichoke Day. I'm sorry, Artichoke Hearts Day. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a peasant or something, but artichoke hearts, I guess they're okay. My wife loves them. So, I can't say too much because, I do want to be able to go home at the end of the day. So it's Artichoke Hearts Day. There is a piece of useless trivia that I'm going to share with you today as well. Do you know what happened this date in 2020? This day in 2020. If you are a stock market individual, if you're a stock market guru, the single largest point drop in history, the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 2,997 points this day, and the second largest percentage drop ever, 12.93% since Black Friday 1929. And yes, I'm old, but I wasn't there. Okay, so we got the two pieces of information for today. Let's take a look and see the bonds looking, well, they're starting to fall back the wrong direction right now. So the bonds right now are up 23 basis points. They were up about 30 basis points earlier in the session, but we watch them anyway because we want to know where the markets are. We did bounce off. Now, for those of you that are into technicals, and I am, because when there isn't a lot of data, technicals are a good indicator of what's going on in the markets. When we've got a lot of data, technicals take a back seat. But right now we're looking at this and the technicals are saying that, the bonds bounced off a 200-day moving average, which is good. When that average holds, especially on the bottom end, then that's telling us that there's some strong support there. And as I look at this, we've got, a nice amount where we can actually get back up to a good number, about another 30 or 40 basis points where the bonds can go higher. Now, what is the importance of bonds going higher, bonds going lower? Well, the higher that mortgage bond goes, well, the better off we are, because when the bond goes up, rates go down, which is what we like to see. Bond up, rates down, that's the key. So we've been watching this, and what's driving all of this? Right now, the exclusive driver of the market, because we got CPI, which was fairly tame. It's a delayed report, though. That's the problem. So the CPI comes in and it's 2.5, 2.6, I think it was what it was last week. Then we got the PCE. That's the Fed's favorite measure of inflation. Well, the problem is it's a government report. And the government, for some stupid reason, they're still saying that the shutdown in October is still affecting the reports. So we only got a January report on PCE, and it came in at 2.8% was the year over year for January. Now, if you want to know what's really happening in that market, it's very simple. You go to the private sector where you get good information. And there we went to Truflation, and they're giving us real-time information. So inflation, not inflammation, but they're giving us real-time inflation. So here's the issue. When you look at the real time, what do I mean by real time? Well, they look at the data. The biggest component of either the PCE or the CPI, even higher in CPI than PCE, is shelter cost. Now, for some dumb reason, the Bureau of Labor Statistics still uses the shelter numbers that are before we had the internet. I think it was before Al Gore invented the internet. So here's the issue. When you're using data when you can't figure out how to maybe use something called the internet, maybe you can use something called, even if they used SurveyMonkey, which is, a pretty simple thing to use, they could get us the data that would be much better. So here's what the issue is. They collect 1/6 of the shelter costs every month. So they're only getting, say, the West Coast or whatever that area is, they only collect that twice a year. Well, Truflation does it all the time because they're using real-time data. Well, Truflation came out and said that inflation is 1.6%, 1.5% when you take out food and energy. That would be the core. So think about that. Why can't the Bureau of Labor Statistics, if they're not smart enough, well, government, I don't say anything about the people there, but I would say I have questions about the government all the time. So if they can't figure that out, why don't they just borrow the data from Truflation, who has figured it out? Seems to me that that's pretty logical. So we see that the inflation numbers are way under the Fed's desire of a 2% inflation rate. If we're way under that number, then why are we so worried about those numbers? Well, the issue is really simple. The Federal Reserve is political nowadays. Unfortunately, they're not supposed to be, but they've gotten way too political. Sorry, Jerome. And you all, if you're a regular listener of Ron Siegel Radio, you know my thoughts about Jerome Powell.
Idiot.
Yeah.
Such an idiot.
So he's not doing a good job for the American people. Now I must admit, if you are a red-blooded American, and I think most of you are, if you were insulted on a regular basis from the President of the United States, as much as Jerome Powell is insulted by the President of the United States, does it surprise you that he doesn't want to help him in any way? I'd probably feel the same way that Jerome does if that was the case. Good morning, Dave Silva. Glad to see you with us. So I can't say I blame Jerome Powell, but that's just not their mandate. That's not the way it's supposed to be done. And it is the way it's being done right now. So we know that inflation is tame. The problem is the labor market is weak. And the Federal Reserve, which it is regularly under Jerome.
Such an idiot.
Yeah, the Federal Reserve is late. So Wednesday, we're going to get their statement of economic projections. We'll see what it says. They're not going to change interest rates, which they should be doing. And we'll see what happens. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Today, we got a great topic for you if you're planning on dying. No one's planning on dying. But, we're going to talk about probate today. The risks, the rules, and the right way to buy or sell. We've got a guru in the studio. Lucas Smith is with us. The number one reason buyers walk away and how to get ahead of it, and 5 credit myths we hear every single week. All that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need money? The Siegel Lending Team is here to help veterans refinance and get the money they need. The VA 100 lets you borrow up to 100% of your home's value, refinance your mortgages, consolidate credit cards, and lower your payments by an average of $700 a month. And the Siegel Lending Team knows that character means more than a credit score. Call 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 21037, and DRE number 018694452. You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. And every day at this time, OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual lock rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you put in your mortgage calculator.
You're mute. You're muted.
Okay, Josh, tell me where we dropped off.
As soon as you started talking about the rates, as soon as we went into this.
Hear you. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
What was the last thing you heard? I don't know. Well, let's talk about rates. Should we talk about rates? Okay. OBMMI, they're the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates with consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They do not tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you need to put in your mortgage calculator to determine your principal and interest payments. Thanks, Dave. I'm glad you could hear me. So let's look at what did rates do. Oh, don't forget, if you want to know about rates, so you put them in the mortgage calculator. If you don't have one, rsrlinks.com/calculator, rsrlinks.com/calculator. And if you're thinking about buying a house and you just don't know what you can afford or what your purchase price is, pretty simple. Now, before you even go to a consultation, which should be your first step, is having a consultation. Personal opinion, talk to a lender, because it doesn't do any good to talk to the realtor, because if they're good, they're going to tell you, go talk to the lender, because they don't want to show you a house that you can't afford. Because then you get, you're going to get sticker shock, right? I mean, they can show you a $10 million house. If you can't afford it, no good. So go to rsrlinks.com/calculators. You put in your income, gross income, put in your amount of your down payment, and it's going to give you a good idea of the purchase price. 500,000, 600,000, 800,000, $1 million, whatever the number is. It's your castle. But then you have some starting point of what you might want to look for. Okay? But what did rates do on Friday? That's what we're going to talk about right now, because OBMMI, they give us that data. And if I could see it here, let me put that. Had a little bit of technical difficulties this morning, so we're going to see if I can show that on the screen here. I think I can get it up here. My computer is going really slow today. I don't know. Let's try this. Let's try this slide. Okay, conventional 30-year fix, 6.214. That was up. They're all up. Jumbo 30-year fix, 6.454. FHA 30-year fix, 6.014. VA 30-year fix, 5.83 in the USDA. Rural areas, generally no down payment. Looking at that one, 5.968. So that's where all of the rates are as of Friday. Now, if you want to know about our thoughts about the market each and every business day morning, as early as the data allows. Okay, so then we've got our RSR, join the community, rsrlinks.com/HBOD, rsrlinks.com/HBOD. Gotta love the internet. So now Josh's internet is dropping in and out. It's gotta love it today. So what's driving the markets today? Let's see what the markets are doing first. The S&P 500 is now up 54.64. It had been up further than that. The 10-year Treasury is down almost 4 basis points, 4.24. Mortgage bond is up 22 basis points. Remember, bond up, rates down. What's driving all of it? It's pretty simple. I watch the oil charts, and if I see what oil is doing, I can guess what the bonds are doing. So oil was down $5 a barrel earlier today, and the bond was down about 31 basis points then. Oil right now is down $2.46, so that's come back up a bit. So the bond has gone back down, just the way it's been working. So again, helping the bond market is the oil market, which is kind of ironic when you think about it, because we don't get our oil from the Middle East. Oil in the U.S., for the most part, is homegrown. So why is our markets being so affected? And the other question that most people don't want to even talk about, especially the lame straight media, and I shared this on our socials earlier today. Yes, I have no life, so I shared it very early this morning. Any guess what Brent oil was in 2022? $139 a barrel. Did you hear any outrage over it then?
No.
Any guess at where oil is today? Well, as I'm reporting to you right now, $96.17. Significantly lower. So just think about that. Now, when you're hearing some of the news again that tries to make all the doom and gloom, Diane Aldrich, last year, the National Association of Realtors reported that median age for first-time buyers had jumped to the age of 40.
You know better than that.
Okay, highest age on record and up from age 33 just 5 years earlier. Of course, the media jumped all over it, and it's the most alarming figure out there. But is it correct? That is the question. Is it correct? The New York Fed says it's 36. Redfin says it's 35. Makes sense that the median age of first-time buyers has risen as home prices and interest rates have risen. But is it really as bad as NAR says? Let's look at each of their methodologies and the issues they may have. So NAR, they send out 170,000 surveys each year. Now, there's 120 questions on the survey. Are you going to answer 120 questions?
No.
Not a chance in the world. Only 3.5% response rate. Very low sample size, high margin of error. Their data only goes through June of the year, missing the big drop in rates and surge of younger buyers in the second half of 2025. Those who owned, then rented and bought again, they say they're first-time buyers because that's how they qualify on loans. New York Fed looks at credit history to determine first-time home buyer. Does not include cash buyers, so could skew numbers lower. Redfin, infers first-time buyer age from the U.S. Census Bureau's current population survey, captures both cash buyers and those with mortgages, identifies homeowners who have moved in the last year and asks their reason for doing so, considers someone a first-time buyer if they said they moved because they wanted to own a home rather than rent, or to start their own household. However, this interpretation may mistakenly counting unusual cases as first-time buyers, such as people who inherit homes or former homeowners who rent for a period and then buy again. Bottom line, the age of first-time home buyer has gone up, but probably 35 or 36 is probably more likely the age group for that group. So just throwing that out there for you. That's the Mortgage Minute, brought to you by rsrlinks.com/mobile app, rsrlinks.com/mobile app. So let's take a look at what we've got today. You know, one of the biggest questions I get more than almost anything else right now, what happens when someone passes away? And more specifically, can we buy the house? Can we sell it? Do we have to wait forever? Which are all great questions. And today we're going to answer them all, because whether you are a family trying to figure out what to do with a parent's home, or you're a buyer who keeps hearing about probate properties but has no idea what that actually means, this show is for you. Here's what most people do not realize. When someone passes away and they own a home, that property does not just automatically transfer to the family. In many cases, it goes through a legal process called probate. And probate can feel like a maze if nobody has walked you through it first. Now, here in California, there are some significant changes that took effect in 2025 that actually makes the process easier for a lot of families. But those changes come with conditions. And if you do not know the rules, you can make a very expensive mistake without even knowing it. Today on Ron Siegel Radio, I have brought in a realtor friend who works right here in the communities where a lot of these situations are playing out every single day. Lucas Smith serves families across North Orange County in the Inland Empire. He's not a niche specialist who only handles estate sales. He's a working realtor who sees the full picture, the everyday buyer, the family trying to settle an estate, and everything in between. And that real world perspective is exactly what this conversation needs. We're going to talk about what a probate sale actually looks like from both sides of the transaction, what it means if you're an heir trying to sell, what it means if you're a buyer trying to get into a home, and what the process really looks like when you sit down and decide to move forward. And here's something I want you to hear clearly before we get into it. Buying a probate home is not some back alley deal reserved for investors with cash. For the right buyer, it can be a real opportunity. These homes often come to market at prices that reflect the estate's need to settle things and move on. And yes, there are financing options available, including government-backed programs that can make it accessible for first-time buyers and everyday families. The key is knowing how to navigate, and that is exactly what we're going to do today. Lucas Smith joins me now, and we're going to walk you through the probate process, what to watch out for, and the questions you should be asking before you make any decisions. Joining me right now, Lucas Smith, again, a realtor serving families across North Orange County, the Inland Empire. Lucas, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it.
Glad to have you with us. Let's start with the basics. When a family comes to you and says they have a probate property to sell, where do you even begin?
Well, so I'm going to ask you a couple questions, right? I'm going to ask, is it in a trust? Is there a will, or is there nothing, right? Because those are one of the three situations we're going to end up with,
Sure.
right? So
Not just that you have a trust, though. It has to be funded into the trust.
it has to be funded into the trust. It has to be set up correctly, all of those things. But anybody listening, my best piece of advice is going to be get a trust today.
Yes.
Set up a trust today. Because one of the most heartbreaking things that I experience in my business is watching families fight over money after somebody passes away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And a trust clearly dictates what happens with your assets. If you set it up correctly, what happens with all of your assets after you die. So number one, get a trust, because it's just easier.
Yeah, that's the idea there is get a trust and don't worry about all this other stuff.
Right. The other two ways, right? So people say, well, I have a will. Is that good enough? Well, it's still going to probate. You're still going to go through probate court. You're still going to have to pick a probate attorney, which, by the way, the court sets their fees. So you're not fee shopping. You're just shopping for the person who you think can serve you best, right? And if you want a referral, I'm sure Ron has one. I have one, right? We have people that we work with who can help you through that process. But even if it's a will, it still has to go through probate.
Sure.
If there's no will, it still has to go through probate, right? And then the court will decide what they think the best intentions of the deceased were towards their heirs.
So
in the plainest English, right?
Everybody has an estate plan.
Yeah.
It's whether you design it yourself through your trust or you let the court decide for you.
Right. Yeah. And that's it. Right. My buddy, who was my mentor in probate, said, hey, there's 3 wills in California. There's a trust, a will, and there's the will of the state.
There you go.
Right. Though you got one of those 3 plans going on right now. I promise you.
Yeah. That's kind of the craziness of it. And you're exactly right. It's just, it's a frustrating thing when I get to talk to people and they've called in listening to the radio show and they say, you know, mom and dad had a trust. And then my last numbers, and when last time I had a trust person on the show with me, we actually learned that 80% of the trusts that are out there are not funded properly.
Correct. People make changes. They don't adjust the trust, right? All of those things.
And when we say funded proper, that means you got to get the properties changed over at the county recorder's office.
Yes, into the trust, into the name of the trust
on title.
Yeah.
And if you don't know whether it is or not, you know, you can give us a call. You go down to the county recorder's office and find it.
Yeah.
It's public information. Anybody can look it up.
Anybody can look it up, right?
So you can call me, you can call Lucas. We can look it up right up online and say, you know something, it's not titled properly.
Right. Yeah. Last time mom or dad did that refi or that cash out or whatever, they had to take it out of the trust name. And that's what we most commonly see is people have it in a trust. They take it out of the trust name for some financing purpose and they forget to put it back in.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk more about that when we come back. The number 1 reason buyers walk away and how to get ahead of it. 5 credit myths we hear every week and more. Reach me anytime. Off air number 800-306-1990. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com. The number 1 reason buyers walk away and how to get ahead of it. You may have seen headlines on social saying the number of buyers backing out of their contracts is on the rise and has recently reached a high not seen since 2017. That can sound intimidating, but it varies a lot by market. And here's the key thing to understand. If you want to sell, a lot of time there's one common cause and it's something you can actually control. Here's what you can do to get ahead of the biggest deal breaker before it ever becomes a problem. Top deal breaker issues that pop up during the inspection. A Redfin survey shows over 70% of recently canceled contracts happen because of issues during the home inspection. Buyers don't often back out of deals because of issues buyers most often back out of deals because of issues during the home inspection. And when I'm looking at this chart that we have here that shows this, holy cow, it's not even close. It looks like my computer's going in a weird method today, but I can't see those numbers. Maybe Josh can help me here. But it's a huge percentage. Gotta love this computer today. Holy cow. Josh, what's that percentage on there? Can you see that for me? As far as the percentage on the 70% is because of home inspection issues. Buyers financing falling through is 27.6%. So it's not even close there. Makes sense. Today's buyers have something they didn't have a couple of years ago. Options. A few years back, when buyers felt rushed or boxed in due to the limited number of homes for sale, they were more willing to overlook issues. But in today's market, skipping essential repairs is one of the fastest ways to lose a deal. Now that there are more homes to choose from, buyers can be more selective. A house feels risky, outdated, or like it's hiding expensive surprises, they're a lot more likely to walk away. So what do you have to fix? Ask your agent. How your agent can help you give you the edge? Local agent will be able to walk you through your house and offer advice on what to tackle based on your specific home, your market, and what buyers are prioritizing in your area. They'll also have firsthand knowledge about some of the biggest turnoffs for buyers, and you can use that expertise to prevent future headaches. For example, according to Zillow, these are some of the issues buyers will care most about. Roof leaks or damage, sagging and leaking, plumbing problems, standing water, leaks, water damage, electrical concerns, outdated or exposed wiring, missing GFCI outlets, HVAC issues, non-functioning units, pest or insect damage, termite colonies, etc. Hazardous materials, lead, mold, asbestos, safety code violations, missing smoke detectors, windows stuck closed, structural problems, cracks in the foundation, sagging floors. Odds are not all of these even apply to your house. Maybe only one or two things do, or maybe none of them. It just depends. But an agent will have the tools and resources to help you figure out and stay one step ahead. How about a certified pre-inspection? There you go. You just call this the home inspector, have an inspection done, $400 or $500, $600. I don't know what they cost.
Best money you'll ever spend on a sell.
Yeah, I mean, it's that way you can say, hey, this is what the property's situation is, and this is what we already did to remedy it. So now it's not buyer beware. The buyer already knows. The buyers, these aren't cosmetic issues. They're trust issues. And that's what you need to watch out for today. Once buyers start wondering what else might go be wrong, hard to recover. That's why some agents are even recommending a pre-listing inspection as a sneak peek into what buyers will see on their own inspection. With that insight, you can fix the concerns before you list or disclose issues up front, avoid having to respond or negotiate under pressure, stop scrambling to find contractors with availability before your closing date. But remember, you don't have to fix everything. You just have to be strategic about what you do tackle, so you and your buyer aren't caught off guard. And that's why you need an agent who can decide if a pre-listing inspection is worth it where you live. Recommended a trusted inspector. Look at the results with you to identify true deal breakers in your market. Have you decide what to fix or what to credit. Make sure you avoid overspending or under-preparing. Bottom line, one of the biggest deal breakers for buyers today is inspection issues, and that's something you can control. You just need to be proactive about high impact repairs before you list. If you want help figuring out where to focus, give me a call at 800-306-1990. I can put you in touch with a great agent like Lucas if you're here in this area, or if you're not in this area, I can put you in touch with a great agent because I've got their report cards. And some like the idea that we have a report card, and some are not so excited about that, but we've got it anyway. That's the Real-Time Real Estate segment brought to you by rsrmoney.com. Continuing our conversation with Lucas Smith. Hey, Lucas, what's the biggest misconception families have when they inherit a home?
So the biggest misconception, I suppose, that people have when they inherit a home is I can just take it and sell it right away. Right. I think that's probably the biggest, right? And there's three things that they run into that we'll call obstacles, three things you have to overcome in order to get that done. Right.
Okay.
First one is agreement with the family.
Okay.
Right. Always the hardest. Second one is what to do with all of mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, uncle's stuff. Right.
Yeah.
I see emotional. A lot of people get stuck there because it's emotional. Right. And the third one is when they get past those first two is who can we get to help us? Right. Because you call in, an experienced agent like myself, who's done a lot of probates, right? We do several of them a year. We've just done a lot of them in our career. So we're really experienced with it versus hiring your nephew, Tommy, who works at the pizza joint and has a real estate license.
Yeah. And probably his training for the pizza joint was probably more than the training for the real estate license. Probably way more, right? Nothing against Tommy. I'm sure he's a great guy, but you want somebody experienced, right? You want somebody who's going to help you set expectations. If it has to go through probate, it's a minimum 90-day to 180-day process going through probate. That's
minimum.
That's pretty, and that's really lucky if you can get it done that quick.
That's bare minimum, right? It's going to be 3 months, 6 months, or even as much as a year.
Yeah.
So you have to set everybody's expectations ahead of time, because both sellers and buyers get an unrealistic time frame. They get impatient, and then the process falls apart.
But wait, Lucas, the will said that I'm supposed to handle all this for mom and dad, and I just want to sell it.
I know. And the state of California still requires you to go through the probate process. You're going to have to go to court. You're going to have a court date. You're going to have an attorney that represents you. It's going to be a 3-month to 6-month process at least.
Yeah, that's and from what I'm hearing more and more, I mean, that's if everything goes perfect.
If everything goes perfect. I mean, often probates are going to go back to court so the judge can approve the offer price that you have in, and they're going to put it up for a rebid, right, before you can actually go into escrow with your buyer.
Yeah, and the thing to realize is probate's a legal process, not a warning sign.
Right.
You don't get the options. It's just the way it is. And now let me ask you this. In the areas that you service predominantly, which I mean, I know you can go anywhere you want in the state of California, and I think in Arizona as well.
Yep.
So, but in the areas that you're most common with, are there probate listings available?
Well, let's talk about North Orange County, right? Right here, Yorba Linda, Brea, Anaheim. Do we have an aging population of homeowners here, Ron?
Sure.
Absolutely.
We hope they are. The question
Well,
is,
if they're not aging, they're probate already.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They're already in the estate settlement process.
That's correct. Because last time I checked, the death rate on humans was 100%.
That's it. George Burns didn't figure it out. So let's go to the buyer's side. What should they expect that's different from a traditional purchase?
So what you're going to expect as a buyer in most probate situations is you're going to have to put your vision goggles on, right? Because it's grandma's house. And as we age, upgrading, having the most modern, the most remodeled house becomes less and less important.
Sure.
Right.
And we like what we have.
Right. And now often a lot of older people will take great care of their houses. So they've done all the maintenance, they've done all the repairs. You'll get a good roof, you'll get a good HVAC system. You just get green shag carpet from 1975.
And you know something, I made an offer on one of those last year. That was, the bones were great. They had just put in 2 new air conditioners out in the Coachella Valley.
Right.
And they just put in 2 new air conditioners. And everything, so the house was maintained immaculate, but the orange tile kitchen counters,
right,
the wallpaper
and the pink toilet.
Yeah,
you don't forget the pink toilet, right, with the matching pink sink.
Yeah, and it had it had that avocado carpet.
Yeah,
shag.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So I call it great bones and cosmetics of the 70s.
So, and there's a great deal to be had there because
Sure.
a lot of people, you're spending a lot of money to buy the house already. A lot of people don't have that vision. So as a buyer, if you walk in with the vision to say, hey, this house is going to qualify for our loan, it's going to pass the appraisal, it's going to pass our inspection as far as quality of the house, it's just not what we want yet. And have the vision to make it yours.
So can you am I allowed to bring in a contractor, as part of that early process to get an idea of what it's going to cost me to upgrade?
Sure. During your inspection period, you can bring in anybody you want to do any inspections. Anybody you're willing to pay who's not going to do any overt damage to the house during their inspection, you can bring in to do an inspection.
Okay. Now, do you recommend I do that if, because you and I don't want to be a chauvinist, but, you and I are not going to get to make any decisions when it comes to this.
Right.
It's going to be mom that's going to do those.
Well,
mom, wife.
One rule in my house, happy wife,
happy life.
The same rule in your house.
Absolutely.
It's strange.
I might be able to get a little bit of a discussion when it comes to the budget, but from there on, I'm out.
Yeah.
So can we bring somebody in before we make the offer?
Yeah. Well, you're going to want to do that early in the process. And, I always say, look, if it's where you want, because you can't move the house, if it goes to the schools that you want your kids to go to, and if it's the right price, focus on getting your offer accepted and getting into escrow first. And if you have a savvy, smart agent who's done a lot of these, they'll have an approximate, hey, this is going to cost about this much. This is going to cost about this much.
I had somebody once told me, you figure 40 or 50,000 for the kitchen, figure 10,000 for a master bathroom, and figure 5,000 for a guest bathroom.
Right.
And kind of give you rough ideas.
Right. Yeah. So
and that made a change with inflation, but
No. You're still about right. That's pretty close, right? Depending on what you want.
Right.
right?
Yeah, if you want 24 karat gold fixtures, it's going to cost
It's
you
going
more.
to cost a little more. That's
Right?
right. That's right. But if you want some nice white quartz countertops, you want some gray or white cabinets in your kitchen, right? You want nice fixtures. Yeah, about $50K for a full kitchen remodel.
Okay, so it gives us an idea of what we're looking at in that area. And again, a real estate agent that's dealing with these type of things is going to be your key,
Yeah.
right? Because you can look at a kitchen and say, okay, this one's a little bigger than normal. This one's a little smaller than normal. I'm not a contractor, but I'm going to guess 25.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, does it have the layout that you want? Right? Are the bedrooms the size that you want? Right? Because these are things that are hard to change.
Right.
Right.
and you can't change those. Those are harder. Like you said, they're harder to change. But if you're looking at bathrooms, kitchen, carpeting, flooring, wallpaper, you don't have to do all of it at once either.
No, as long as it's livable,
Right.
you can go through and remodel it later.
Okay, let's get into when we come back, I want to get into some of the meat and potatoes. When we talk about full authority, partial authority, taxes, changes, Prop 19, Prop 13, all of that stuff. We'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. Reach me anytime. Off air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Do you know a homeowner experiencing divorce? Do you know a real estate reference and the divorce decree could cost tens of thousands of dollars? A certified divorce mortgage planning and real estate report could save you thousands of dollars, and it's free from your local certified divorce lending professional. Reach out to Ron today. RonIsMyLender.com. Again, RonIsMyLender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's...
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. Your Credit Matters segment today is going to be put off until tomorrow. Sorry about that, but I talk too much, and we're going to talk about the 5 credit myths we hear every week, and we will talk about that tomorrow because you've been doing everything you think is right with your credit, and it might actually be hurting you. So you're not going to want to miss that one tomorrow. That's the Your Credit Matters abbreviated segment, also known in radio as a tease because I'm running out of time. And I want to talk to Lucas Smith more about probate. So, and I'm going to throw this at you, Lucas. I know that it's something that I generally deal with, but financing a home in probate, can it be done?
Absolutely.
Anything different than than any other transaction?
I mean, as far as the buyer's financing goes, no, the house has got to be able to pass the appraisal, right? It's got to be livable. So for any lender, and you know this, and I know this, it's got to have flooring, it's got to have heating, it's got to have non-leaky roof, right?
Right.
For some reason, appraisers love the paint on the eaves, which I don't think is health and safety at all, but they do.
Yeah, well, they have their regulators that they have to deal with.
They do. They have their rules they have to follow. So
can you explain to me then full authority versus limited authority?
Sure. So full authority means that somebody already has the full ability to sell the property, right? They've already have what's that letter called, Ron?
It's called letters.
No.
That's what the court says is they've got full authority.
Yeah, it's
letters.
It's a full authority letter from the court that says that they have the authority to dispose
I looked
of
that
the
up a few times. I said, what do you mean by letters? They have their letters.
Yeah, they have their letters, right? They have a letter from the court that says they have full authority to dispose of the property. That means they've already gone through the process and gotten the approval to sell the property. Right.
And they can sell it at any price they want because the court gave them
full authority. Right. Versus partial authority, right, where they can sell the property, but it's probably gonna, like I said earlier, probably gonna have to go back to a court for approval of the price, and the court might even open it up to open bidding to see if they can get a better price. Because again, the court wants to make sure that they're working on the will of the deceased, right? And they're doing the best by the heirs, right? They want to make sure there's no shenanigans going on.
You know, that one heir, and you know, that what one heir is not trying to just scam the system. They want it done quick because they want their money, because they don't really need it.
Right.
And then they're selling it to a friend at a lower price, and then they're going to split the difference when they do it later. There's a lot of different shenanigans, as you put it. Good word for the day before St. Patrick's Day.
Right. A lot of different shenanigans that go on. And quite frankly, a lot of these properties, you know, people as they get older don't have the money to put into the maintenance. So a lot of them are lacking a lot of that basic maintenance. So some of them end up in cash offer only situations just because can't
get the financing.
They can't get the financing. They won't qualify.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So when we're dealing with that full authority and the limited authority, so again, that's another area that a experienced realtor can help with.
Right.
Because if you have limited authority and your realtor goes into the court or gives the attorney a stack of offers and says, I got 7 offers and we think this is the best one for these reasons.
Right.
Right. Then the judge is more likely to accept that.
Right.
Because the judge wants to get it off his docket as quick as he can anyway.
Right. His job is to get it through the process. Absolutely.
So
absolutely. And again, it's about setting expectations. An experienced agent's going to set those expectations with both the sellers and the buyers.
What about time, Lucas? So
that's the expectation we're talking about, right?
Right.
Time.
So if you have limited authority,
it's going to take longer.
Is it? So is it going to get back on the calendar another 90 days?
That's right. It's going to get back on the calendar in another 90 days. You're going to have to wait the 90 days for it to go through the limited authority process to get full approval of your offer. And then you're going to be able to go through the escrow process and close.
Now, do you see differences? I mean, is it more common to see limited authority or full authority, or is that just depending upon the attorney's process and getting it done?
I'm going to say it depends.
Okay.
We'll see full authority more often in the case where there's an actual written will.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we'll see limited authority where it's the will of the state.
Okay.
Right? Because the state's going to monitor it more closely.
Sure.
I think that's probably the biggest differentiator, right? If you at least have some sort of document that says, hey, I want this done with my stuff.
Okay. So, yeah. So if you got the will, then you've got, then the judge doesn't have to worry about being
he doesn't have to decide what he thinks that you wanted after you're dead.
So let's talk a little bit about AB 2016. Neither one of us are attorneys. Neither one of us are giving legal advice.
Thank you.
So AB 2016, the way I understand it, is basically there's a expedited process.
Sorry, we're talking about the California courts and you said expedited.
Yeah. But that's basically, from what I understand, an expedited process for properties under 750,000. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
So the courts aren't going to be as scrutinized as much, I guess.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then Prop 19.
Okay.
So that's a fun one because I deal with that one a lot. So I'll throw that one out there. Prop 19 is basically transferring of property taxes.
Right.
And again, I'm not a tax guy and I'm not an attorney, so consult with those guys.
It allows you to transfer your property tax base from one property to another.
As long as you're going to be moving in as long as you're a blood relative, I think it's got to be a child, parent, or a grandchild.
Yep.
And you've got to make it your primary residence within 60 days and plan and intend to live there at least a year.
Yep.
And here's the one that catches a lot of people. So one of the catches in there is if there's 3 heirs and the primary asset that's going to be distributed is the equity from the property, the heir that wants to buy the property cannot bring cash into the transaction to equalize with the other heirs.
Right.
So the trust, this is generally done with a trust will then have to go and borrow money on a non-recourse loan.
Right.
And to make sure that there's enough cash in the trust. So it ends up being 2 loans.
Right.
So we've done that many times and we understand how to do that, but it is an area that catches people frequently. So don't have a lot of time left. What's the single most important piece of advice you give families going through this? Put them on the spot.
I mean, before you die, have a trust.
Okay. No, but once you go through probate, though.
Once you're in probate, get good advice from the gate, right? Don't listen to Uncle Johnny who doesn't know jack about the process, right? Sit down with a professional, get a consultation, have them walk you through the process, right? Ask them some basic questions about the process to make sure they know what they're talking about, and have them give you a referral to good professionals who can help you, right?
It makes a whole lot of sense because there's a lot of steps involved in being in this whole process. And the good real estate agents who understand probate understand that they're not going to be doing anything on this property for 90 days, but they can guide the family, the decedent's family, with, you need to keep making your electric payments and your water payments and keep up the yard. And
and the agent can only sign a listing contract that's 90 days long. So you basically sign an agreement with that person to help them with the sale of their house that you're going to have to renew before you can even sell the house.
Oh, that's an interesting one too. Okay. So, if you want more information on it, it's a lot more in depth than what we're talking about here. But if you want more information on this, make sure you give us a call at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yeah, Dave, you're right. It's got to have the court confirmation when you're dealing with probates. It's a process. It's something that you need to understand. And the easiest thing to understand it is make sure you go to a real estate agent who's done these, not just, and I say this because I've had my real estate license for 11 years, and I will be the first to tell you that I am not qualified to do a real estate transaction. Everything I learned during the licensing period is totally worthless. Don't let the DRE hear that. Totally worthless. Because no one's going to ask me about a water table or a track or any of that stuff once you have that contract, once you have that license. You need to talk to great real estate professionals who are out there doing this all the time, because you're dealing with a lot of money. It's a large, large asset. And as Lucas put it, I don't know whether Tommy, the pizza guy that went and got this whole thing, he can help you, but you may end up having some contract issues. You may have some tax issues that you didn't expect, because good intentions is not a defense when you go to the IRS. They just don't care. And as always, I ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean who are engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.